Hey everybody, it's John here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in Dead by Daylight, going for the Adept Hag achievement. If you were doing the Windows Store version, this one's going to be part of the Of Flesh and Mud update. This one's going to be done from the killer side. It is to get a merciless killer rating as the Hag, only using her unique perks. You are obviously going to need the Hag for this, so again, if you're doing the Windows Store version, make sure you grab her from the DLC pack or from the in-game store. You also need to make sure you get her to a minimum of level 10 to open up 3 perk slots. The perks that you want to run and only run are going to be the Third Seal, Ruin, and Devour Hope. All 3 are going to be Hex perks, so make sure you do keep that in mind. You want to make sure you leave the 4th slot empty if you have that available to you, and you can do whatever you want for add-ons or offerings. Once you have your setup in place, make sure you start up the game, and it's time to go for the Merciless. In terms of the build that we have here, all 3 perks are going to be super useful. However, because they are all Hex perks, they are going to be very vulnerable to being destroyed by the other survivors if they do find your hexes. And because we are running so many Hex perks, that's going to be pretty common. So be a little careful about that and make sure you don't over-rely on your perks. They are more or less going to help you out while they are in the background, so take advantage of them while you can in the early game before any of the survivors can find and blow them up. Thankfully, the Hag is able to make up for this thanks to her amazing special ability, which are going to be her Phantasm Traps. So the way these are going to work is you hit left trigger to pop down a triangle. If a survivor steps on this triangle, it's going to spawn a little decoy, which is going to give them a nice little spook. Besides that, what you are able to do is you are able to hit left bumper to teleport to any one of these triggered traps. So the reason this ability is going to be so useful is you can use it as a very effective anti-loop strategy. So what you can do is you can pop one down as the survivor is trying to get you into a loop. Make sure you pressure the survivor into stepping on your trap, and once they trigger it, you should be able to quickly teleport, which should bypass whatever they are trying to loop you around. Then all you have to do is just make sure you punish accordingly, and this should lead to a bunch of easy downs or pressure the survivors away from loops. That way you can engage them in more straightforward chases. The other best use of the Phantasm Traps is going to be their ability to allow you to camp hooks without the camp penalty. So what you want to do is every time you pop a survivor on the hook, what you want to do is want to make sure you bait the hook with a bunch of traps. Then just leave the hook alone and continue on with your normal hunt. And then if someone tries to come in for the rescue and pull the survivor off of the hook, first off, you should get a little notification that someone has set off one of your traps, and then what you can do is you can quickly teleport in and then punish the 2 accordingly. If you are quick enough, you can teleport in as they are pulling their teammate off of the hook, and then you can get a quick grab. Or if you come in a little later and both people are off of the hook, you can make a decision on who you want to make sure you punish with a normal attack. The most ideal scenario being that you are able to down someone and reapply anyone on the hook. That way you can rebait it with more traps and continue the cycle. That being said, you aren't just limited to using the traps in these 2 ways. You can also use the traps next to generators in order to bait out anyone who's trying to get on the generators to fix them. Very useful in the end game when you are down to just a few generators and need to go between them quickly, especially if they are going to be quite a distance apart. You can also try to bait well-established positions, including the Killer Shack, etc., etc. You do have 10 traps to work with, so plenty to go around. However, I do recommend keeping a handful available at all times to avoid anyone who is trying to loop you or to set up traps around anyone who you do down and hook. And this way you should be able to get your Merciless super duper easy. And of course, a reminder whenever you are using a very powerful killer is to not try to steamroll the survivors. The reason for that is you are going to have to do well in all 4 of the major killer categories. So do try your best in order to get as many hits, downs, and hooks in as you can, and make sure you do spread them to all 4 survivors. And that way you shouldn't come up short on any points for any category, and you should be good for the Merciless killer rating if you do well on those 4 categories. Once you manage a game where you do well in all 4 categories, you should be good for your Merciless killer rating. Of course, once you hit the results screen, you can hit right bumper once to check the categories and what you need to improve on. And then once you manage the +2, you should be good for your achievement. There it is. This one's going to be for 20 gamer score. And that's all there is to it.